Live, local, and talking about the teams that matter to you. This is Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Brought to you by McMahon's Best One Tire and Auto Care.
Good morning and welcome to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One. Along with producer co-host D.C. Hendricks, I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks for tuning in as we're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Then we'll give way to the Judge Phil Houck and America's foremost authority on Notre Dame Fighting Irish football, Tim Priester, as they give you Fighting Irish preview. And the Irish have a game at USC tonight, an old rivalry game. It starts around 7 o'clock or so this evening. But before that, you got Talkin Sports. So first of all, I was out last week. I officiated a wedding. Yeah.
How'd that go, by the way?
It did. It went well. It was one of those sunset weddings outdoors in nice. Florida. Yeah. My nephew got married, and nice. So I was. I'm an ordained minister.
Nice.
I know. Usually people go, "You what?"
You're one of those jack of all trades kind of guys. You
Master
you can pretty
of
much
none.
do everything.
It's fun. It's fun. You know.
You're the man.
Yeah. So anyway. We got them married. And now I'm home here. But I tuned in to Talkin Sports last Saturday morning, and I heard the dulcet, velvety tones of Mr. D.C. Hendricks.
Yeah, I would. There's a lot more adjectives people usually use to describe me, but
I know. I got a list of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're on again this week, so apparently I didn't mess up bad enough.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
Didn't do that, and I wanted to be home in time for state championship football.
Let's go.
And we have quite a bit of representation down in Indianapolis this weekend. And let's just go to the Talkin Sports phone line, powered by Fire Police City County Federal Credit Union, because on that line from OPS and outside the huddle.net is Justin Kenny. Justin, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Well, the Adams Central Flying Jets. They took no prisoners yesterday, and a 46-6 victory over Linton to capture the IHSAA 2A state football championship. Michael Moser's first one as a head coach, but they did what they do every single week: is just run it down your throat and try to stop them, and Linton couldn't.
Precisely what pretty much went down. 353 yards on the ground for Adams Central in the game, and they really took control of this from the outset. Braylon McBride of Linton Stockton, the quarterback, came into this game, had thrown 7 interceptions over the course of 14 games this year, and Adams Central picked him off 4 times in this one, including 2 in the opening 4 minutes, both of which were turned into Adams Central touchdowns, and they were able to really dominate this game from start to finish. Linton Stockton didn't get on the board until the third quarter, and Adams Central really answered that quickly. And so this was great to see because, as you mentioned, Adams Central down here again, 4th straight time, first time in Class 2A. Linton Stockton was the team that beat Indianapolis Lutheran in the semi-state, the team that beat Adams Central 3 times in 1A. So for Adams Central to get it done yesterday was really cool. They get their second state title in school history and first since 2000.
Yes, indeed. And they tied a 2A state finals record with 7 rushing touchdowns as well. And it's just one of those things. And, oh, by the way, the Adams Central Flying Jets starting quarterback, Jamison Roach, is a sophomore.
Yeah, he is, and he was one of those guys that heading into the season, there was a lot of talk about him, about how good he is going to be over the course of his career with the Flying Jets. Didn't have to do too much this year in terms of through the air vertically because it was such a impressive team running the ball as they usually are. So, but as we know with Adams Central, they just always seem to have more athletes coming up, and Jamison Roach is one of those. Still 2 years of his high school career left. So he's going to be one to watch for the Flying Jets as they head into next year and beyond. And, they got to be careful. Don't let it be too successful next year. They'll find themselves in 3A come 2026.
Yeah, the cathedral factor, yeah.
Yeah.
My goodness. But, yeah, well, Roach had 3 rushing touchdowns, 142 yards rushing from the quarterback position. Then Aaron Hershey and Matt Heiser each had 2 touchdowns as well. And that was all there was to it. I mean, the Flying Jets took a 19-0 lead into the halftime locker room and then just, kept their foot on the gas.
They did, and the only scores that Linton Stockton has was after the second half kickoff was fumbled by Adams Central, and Linton Stockton got a short field, and Linton Stockton fans thought maybe they could get something going after trimming the deficit to 19-6, but Adams Central answered that quickly, and it ended up being the only score for Linton Central. So Adams Central got the weekend off to a great start for area teams.
Now heading to Class 4A, of course, the East Noble Knights fall to New Palestine 56-26. Riley Biddle, though, 3 touchdown passes for the Knights on the night to 3 different receivers. And once again, he's just a junior, so he's coming back. But the New Pal is as advertised.
They are, and I felt like this was the game of the 4 that we have this weekend for area teams that was really putting an area squad in a position of being a decided underdog with East Noble. I mean, New Palestine is just a phenomenal team down there by the Ohio River on the banks of the Ohio, and they had dominated the regular season. They had really stymied teams running the football, which we know is the strength of East Noble. Dylan Krell last night, just 7 rushes for -2 yards. I mean, this is a guy that went over 120 yards 9 different times this season. And he is where that offense starts for East Noble. And without Dylan Krell being able to get going, it really put East Noble at a disadvantage. They scored on their first offensive possession of the game, guys, an 80-yard pass over the top from Biddle to Logan Hatton. But New Palestine scored the next 28 points of the game. It was another Biddle pass to Logan Swager for a touchdown late in the second quarter that made the game 28-13. But it was just all New Palestine after that. And it's a great performance this season for East Noble. A great job getting down to the state finals, especially in a first-year coach's, really his first performance in Kendallville and Alex Stewart. So great job by East Noble to get down there, but, man, they just ran into a machine in New Pal.
They did. So that was Friday. Now on to Saturday, 3 p.m. is the Bishop Luers matchup against Heritage Hills in the 3A championship. And what do you see there?
Well, this is going to be a fun one, guys. I mean, you look at Bishop Luers and you say, ho-hum, another state finals appearance, but this is their first ever appearance in the state championship game in Class 3A. And so they face a Heritage Hills squad that wants to get they're back into the state championship game, lost to Chittard last year. So they have a bit of revenge on their mind and trying to go one step further in winning a state championship. So this is going to be an interesting one. I think for Heritage Hills, the key is really limiting that running game. When you look at Daria Williams and D. Hogue and Bishop Luers, that rushing attack, that's what really stirs the drink for Bishop Luers offensively. And Heritage Hills has held teams to 88 yards per game on the ground so far this year. So kind of strength against strength. And for Bishop Luers, I think it's to force turnovers. I mean, Jeff Goldsberry has done a really great job protecting the football as the quarterback. He's thrown for 27 touchdowns. He's rushed for 25 more. He's only a junior. And so I think it's going to be a key for Bishop Luers to force him into some miscues. We saw Adams Central do that against a quarterback that hadn't turned the ball over very much yesterday, and they forced 4 interceptions. And I think for Bishop Luers, it's going to be very similar in how they can really rattle Jeff Goldsberry, the junior quarterback for Heritage Hills, and then move the ball on the ground. And we'll see what happens at 3 o'clock today.
Yes, and Heritage Hills comes into the game. I mean, you look at the Sagarin ratings, they're first in 3A, and Luers 47th overall, but 5th in 3A. But still, Luers last 3 weeks in a row, taking on unbeaten teams and pushing them to the sidelines, really, with Mississinawa, McConaughey, and Garrett. All unbeatens coming into the matchups with Luers, and Kyle Lindsey, no stranger to Lucas Oil Stadium, that's for sure. And he's got these guys cooking on all cylinders at this point. It's a game, and what you want to do is have the most points at the end of the game, and Kyle Lindsey is a master at that.
He is, and a lot of people will tell you this. It seems like a team that's ahead of schedule a little bit. It's not a dominant Bishop Luers team. They have limitations through the passing game, especially. And this is a team with a very talent-laden junior class that you felt maybe it would take a year to get used to Class 3A. You know, you lost a lot to graduation. It's a really good junior class. It still needs to come into form. You still have uncertainty at the quarterback position, going back and forth between a couple guys through most of the season. Yet here Bishop Luers is back in the state championship game, first time in Class 3A, and they have a chance to do something that no team at Luers has done before. So for the Knights and Coach Kyle Lindsey, it's got to feel a little bit of a special because of the ability to get back here with maybe a team that a lot of people thought they couldn't do this year. And Luers is similar to Adams Central. They better watch it next year or else they're going to end up in 4A.
So, and then, of course, in Class 5A, the Warsaw Tigers, who are familiar opponents in these parts, are going for a 5A state championship this afternoon or tonight against, let's see, they're taking on Decatur Central. So, there again, that wing T or that option offense of the Tigers has proven to be trouble for many teams this season so far.
It has, and we're going to wrap up the state championship weekend with this game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, you got to feel good about Warsaw. We go talking about a team that's been there 18 times in Bishop Luers to a program that's being there for the first time ever in Warsaw. This is a team that hadn't even won a regional championship prior to this year, and here they are finding themselves on the biggest stage on Thanksgiving weekend. Warsaw knocking off the number 1, number 2, and number 3 teams in the state in Class 5A to get down to Lucas Oil Stadium, and today they'll take on the number 4 ranked team in Decatur Central. So the biggest question, as it always is, taking on Warsaw, is can you limit that flex bone and really take that away? Drew Sullivan and Quentin Scott and a whole cadre of guys that can run the football and run that offense effectively. For Decatur Central, it's going to be trying to find a way to limit that. Decatur Central can put up points. There's no doubt about that. But can they limit Warsaw in terms of controlling the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage, and scoring touchdowns in that flex bone? And that's going to be an exciting game to watch, and just a great opportunity for Warsaw. It's never been there. It's a great community. Coach Bart Curtis is a tremendous dude, one of the best that we deal with in high school football every fall. And to see him and his program get there for the very first time, it's going to be pretty cool.
Well, Justin, I remember back in August when we got this thing started, and we talked about the Thanksgiving weekend and the culmination, and hoping that we had representation from Northeast Indiana and our Big Four conferences down there vying for state championships. And, of course, obviously we have. But, boy, this has gone too quickly, hasn't it?
It usually does, doesn't it, fellas? And, you know, you never really know heading into a season what's going to happen. And none of us could have predicted that we would have had 4 teams down at state this weekend, which is the most we've ever had. And even during the season, we were talking on Saturday mornings going, well, do we have a team that can make a run?
Right,
and little did we know we had 4.
Yeah.
And so it's just pretty wild how it turns out. It just kind of proves maybe sometimes we take for granted the teams and the programs here and say, well, outside of this, that, and this program, it's going to be a surprise if anybody gets down there. But we have everything from a perennial power in Luers to a first-timer in Warsaw down there representing the area. So it's been
Yes, indeed. And, of course, after today's games, and everybody puts away their football equipment. But from an OPS perspective, when does 7-on-7 start? When does football training start?
Well, training's ongoing every week, Monday through Thursday, with weekday training, elementary school, middle school, high school. We have trench work, which is specifically designed for the big guys, the linemen, that goes on Mondays and Wednesdays. We have our Sunday Academy that will start over the holiday break. We'll get started on January 5th, right before kids go back to school. So plenty going on at OPS. Check out all the offerings at opsfootball.com.
All right, Justin, thank you so much for all of your information that you imparted upon the listeners and us this past football season. We do appreciate it greatly.
Appreciate the opportunity, fellas. Have a great rest of your Thanksgiving weekend.
All right, I'll see you at the school musical.
All right, I will be there.
Okay, so will I. See you, Justin. That was guys. Justin Kenny from OPS and OutsideTheHuddle.net and giving us his commentary. I had a text that came in that says, go 59ers. Now, I know usually who that comes from. It comes from a known Gary Andrean alum who they made a nice little run, but yeah, anyway, they're go. Yeah, I guess they're playing basketball now, but yeah. So anyway, football season just about over for IHSAA teams. Bishop Luers, go Knights, and go Tigers from Warsaw as well, as we finish this thing out on a Saturday, the final day in the month of December. And before we go to break, just want to get some information in. Of course, we talked about the high school football and college hoops. It was IU over Providence, 89-73. Purdue edges Ole Miss 80-78. Don't forget the old Oakham Bucket game is tonight at IU. You have any idea what the line is on that?
I'll have to check it out.
My goodness, it's got to be Jake. But anyway, that game is tonight at 7. Of course, Notre Dame at USC tonight at 7 as well. Fort Wayne Komets in action tonight at the Coliseum. 7:30 puck drop. Game 3 of their 3-game set with the Florida Everblades. The Komets won last night in overtime 2-1. Alex Aliardi lit the lamp in OT. Anthony Petruzzelli tied the game in the third period. A little different style game from Thursday night when the Komets relinquished a 4-2 lead and lost in overtime 5-4. And it was very physical that first night. But, yeah, game 3, the rubber match tonight. We'll talk to Shane Albahrani just a little bit later on in the show.
So the betting line for the old Oakham Bucket game? 29.
Oh, my.
Minus 29 IU.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
That's got to be the biggest of ever between those two teams.
I wonder. Well, yeah. So, Purdue faithful, what do you think?
Plus 29? Not happening.
I don't.
Sorry.
No. Almost. But yes, before we go to break, and I'll tell you what, after the break, stay tuned because we are going to be talking with none other than a friend of the show, Mr. Steve Warden, Pulitzer Prize winning sports writer for Fort Wayne newspapers, the News Sentinel, the Journal Gazette, so on and so forth. He's written a book called Showing My Work, 50 Years of Bylines and Deadlines Around the Fort. And I was going to read it starting from page 1, but I made the mistake of thumbing through it first. And I thought, I want to read this article. I want to read this article. And went, oh, my goodness. So, anyway, we're going to be talking to Steve. And Steve's is as good of a storyteller as he is a writer and author. Oh, my goodness. And just sit and listen to Steve for hours. But anyway, we only have an hour. So, let's go ahead, go to break. But first, I'll tell you about my friends at Culligan. You have a water softener. Is it sitting in your basement down in the corner? You don't know if it's working or not. They might throw some salt in the old brine tank every once in a while. Call them today. 484-8668. That's 484-8668 for a water softener inspection. They'll have a qualified technician come out, take a look at your softener. Maybe run a few tests on your water in your home. And then let you know. Maybe make a few adjustments if your water has changed over the years. They'll do all that. $29.95 is the cost. $29.95. It's not a cost, actually. It's an investment. Investment into your home. You want nasty water running through your washing machine, your dishwasher, your hot water heater? No. You want the good stuff. And as soft as water as you can get. So, give Culligan a call today. Once again, that number, 484-8668. Give your people Culligan water. We'll be right back with Steve Warden. You're listening to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Fan is teamed up with Motor Racing Network to bring you the latest in NASCAR. Each week on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11, NASCAR Live with Mike Bagley takes you inside the garage, where you'll hear straight from the drivers. If you missed the race over the weekend, don't worry. Catch the action with a Monday morning race recap. And never miss the latest news from racing with NASCAR Hot Pass. Head over to 1380thefan.com to see the full schedule and news from the voice of NASCAR.
Attention homeowners, are you tired of paying too much on your energy bills? Over 90% of homes likely need more insulation. It's time you discovered Koala Insulation, a premier insulation contractor. Koala's team can give you a free insulation evaluation. There's no obligation. It's one of the best home improvement returns on investments you can make. And then you can start saving money for years to come. So be sure to book your appointment for a free insulation evaluation online at koalainsulation.com.
As a firefighter, my job was about saving lives. I never thought one day I would be fighting for mine.
After spending his career answering the call to save others, Ken was diagnosed with ALS. Now he's facing his biggest battle, for more time. For 70 years, Muscular Dystrophy Association has been helping people live longer and more independent lives.
I wouldn't be living as good of a life with ALS if it wasn't for MDA. Learn more at MDA.org.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Animals are languishing in U.S. shelters, especially dogs who look a certain way. These dogs are just as deserving of loving homes as any type of dog, which is why we decided to help them get out of kennels. Join the thousands of supporters of our mission to help us expand our national reach and proudly place more dogs from kennels into their forever homes. To learn more about our mission, please visit us at kenneltocouch.org.
Today, young adults face big questions about their future. How will you make your mark? Do you want to be part of something bigger than yourself? Are you ready to learn new skills and make new friendships? Perhaps you have a dream that you're ready to make real. So, how will you make a mark with your future? As you embark on a journey toward finding these answers, the military can serve as a resource for providing help, information, and opportunities. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit today'smilitary.com.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. In recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Do you know a veteran in need? Nation's Finest, through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program, helps veterans and their families struggling with rent, employment, and other housing-related costs. Today, Nation's Finest operates more than 30 locations in California, Arizona, and Nevada, helping thousands of veterans every year. Visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
Now back to Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One, along with DC Hendricks. I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks so much for tuning in as we're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Well, I've, over the years, been an avid reader of the Fort Wayne newspapers, both the Journal-Gazette and the News Sentinel. Grew up with both of them. Put the sports page down on the living room floor, and I'd page through it and look at all the stats and box scores and everything. And I used to read from some of the writers from both papers. I mean, everything from Bud Gallmeyer and Ben Tenney. The list goes on. Kerry Hubbard, all those guys. And then there's the guys like Steve Warden, Ben Smith, Reggie Hayes. Oh, guys like that. Bill Scott, for that matter, as well. But anyway, I have the privilege to welcome to the show this morning Mr. Steve Warden on the Talkin Sports phone line, powered by Fire Police City County Federal Credit Union. Steve, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chevy. And you were probably looking through the pages to find your name with the Bishop Luers Saints, of course.
Yes, but only during my high school years. Well, you covered us, and I've run across some of those articles, and it just, you paint such a picture that the visualization of what you write is second to none. And I am so thrilled that you wrote this book showing my work, 50 years of bylines and deadlines around the fort. And you know, when I got my copy of it, Steve, and I was getting ready to head down south, and so I thought, well, I'm going to read it and start at page 1. But then first I thumbed through it. And that was my biggest mistake, because trying to then start from page 1, no, I want to read this article. I want to read that article. It's just incredible. And I know that, you talked about the reasoning for writing a book, but I am so glad you did. And just so many memories have just jumped off the pages of this book for me. But tell the listeners a little bit about how this project got started.
Well, I people have asked throughout the years, family and friends have asked or suggested that I come up with a book. And since I'm incapable of an original thought, I wanted to put together I wanted to put together a compilation of stories that I had throughout my career, and I wanted to leave something behind. We're, as you pointed out so succinctly, we're getting old, Jimmy.
Yes, we are.
And I wanted to leave something behind for my kids and grandkids. And so, I kind of threw this thing together. My good friend and our good friend, Blake Sebring, was tremendously helpful. And Blake has written so many books. So he helped me out with the production of this thing and putting it together. So anyway, this was about a 9-month project that I went through some old stories. And I was going through I was able to go through the genealogy section of the newspaper, so I did that. Found out about 80 stories. There were about 180 more that I could have chosen, but I came up with these and put them together, and here we go. It's just something that I wanted to do for mainly the kids and grandkids. Now, if I sell a few good, that's great. But for the most part, this is a lasting gift, and also maybe laughing gift for my family.
Well, and as I said at the outset, just thumbing through here and figuring out, what stories are what. I mean, just your entry, hot cement and chain nets. There's nothing quite like playground ball in the summer, this time at McMillan Park. I remember those days. Not that I played, but you could go to McMillan Park or Reservoir Park, for that matter, on any summer night and watch some of the best playground basketball and some of the best players from all around would show up with the way you described. And as I mentioned to you earlier this morning, your piece on Fred Tone from Bishop Luers High School just sent chills through me, and just the depth of that man and what he achieved, and how he had so many people that would follow him into the depths just because he said, "Follow me." And just it was incredible, and thank you for all of this.
Well, the reason I did the piece on Fred is that he was going to be the principal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's in my, I guess it's the RIPs and retirement section of the book.
Yeah.
And he was going to be the principal, so he was essentially retiring from coaching, which, as we both know, that was part of Fred's DNA, was coaching and being with kids. So that's what prompted me to go on out and do the story on Fred. And then he told just a remarkable story of him talking to the kids, I think before a semi-state game. And that's how that one came about.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in a wheelchair with a shawl, and just appeared to be talking with his wife, and yeah,
it was in the future. He was talking about the future, that he was invited to a 35-year reunion from the 1983 state championship team, and it was a state championship that has yet to be won. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a brilliant tactic for him to motivate the kids that way.
Oh, most definitely. What were some of your favorite stories to recount?
Oh, golly, Fred. For Fred was one. There were so many. There was one in there that I really I had forgotten about until I went through it. It was a guy named Joel Dockham who lived in San Diego, and he had some health issues, and he was befriended by someone with the then Wizards. And he and his mom, Joel was 25, 26, something like that. He and his mom came all the way to Fort Wayne just to experience a game with the Wizards. And I talk about how he was befriended by not only the Wizards but the city of Fort Wayne. And I really enjoyed that. One was the afternoon I spent with Harry Carey in the press box at Wrigley Field, and then afterward, Harry said, "Well, let's go have a beer after the game." So there's called the Pink Flamingo. It's a lounge down in the Chicago in Wrigley Field there, and so we went down there, and he was as kind as he could be. We spent a couple hours just talking, and he didn't have to stay around, and that was a memorable moment. Certainly, the Keith Smart moment with Indiana in 1987 had a great conversation with Gene Cady, and I enjoyed him talking about how he said that he loved to dance, and he wasn't much of a singer, but he was on stage in high school plays that he was the sweetheart, and that they sang to him. So yeah, there were a lot of them, Jim, that I enjoyed. One was the and to most people think, well, it's a high school baseball game, but it was such a memorable high school baseball game between Concordia and Snyder years ago, when Concordia came from something like 9 runs down in the bottom of the 7th inning and won the game, and that was memorable. So did I put the best stories that I've ever done in there? No, not really, but stories that I enjoyed, and that was the essence of the book.
We're talking this morning with Steve Worden, author of the book Showing My Work, 50 Years of Bylines and Deadlines Around the Fort. And Steve, now that the Christmas season, the holiday season is upon us, tell the listeners how they can get this book.
Oh, Jimmy, thank you so much. And I'm always hesitant to plug something like this, but I appreciate it. Well, it's available through Amazon. You can go on Amazon, and if you have trouble remembering the title, just type my name in, and the book will show up, and you can get it there. It's also at This and That, which is a great little consignment store on North Anthony. It's at Hyde Bookstores, and it's also at the Visitor Center downtown Fort Wayne. So it's around, and if you want to get it, that's fine. Again, I think it's a fun read, and it's something that, as you indicated, you don't have to start with the first page and work your way through it. You can thumb your way through and find a story that you like and catch up on that.
Oh, that was what happened to me. I'd start reading one and then couldn't wait to get to the next one, and it was great. This will be a wonderful gift for anyone who's grown up around the Fort Wayne area or wants to know more about sports in Fort Wayne over the years. Maybe they're a newcomer here professionally or now residing here. But this talks a lot about not only local but regional and just a plethora of different opportunities here to go through this book and learn just a little bit, too, about sports and other things, and a little bit about Steve Worden. But, Steve, this has been great. I love the book, and I wish everyone would buy that. Like I said, with Christmas coming, this is a perfect gift for under the tree as well.
Well, Chevy, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Well, and let's keep in touch and maybe come on again and let's find out how the book's performing.
That sounds great to me. I appreciate it.
All right, Steve. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, that was Steve Worden, author of Showing My Work, 50 years of bylines and deadlines around the fort. And Steve is a good friend of mine. And I always, before he was a good friend of mine, I was a fan of his. And so it was my extreme pleasure to get to know him and know what makes him tick. And what a great person. We're going to go ahead, step out, take a break, and then come back, and we'll talk to Mike McCaffrey when we return. You're listening to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Are you ready to elevate your business to new heights? Look no further than Federated Digital Solutions. At Federated Digital Solutions, we're all about driving growth with our tailored services, branding, lead generation, social engagement, and strategy, customized just for you. Why settle for mediocrity when excellence is just a click away? Visit us online or text FDS to 45364. Again, that's FDS to 45364.
Running a business is challenging enough without the added stress of uncertain insurance coverage. That's where Hoopy Insurance Services, in partnership with Indiana Farmers Insurance, can help. We take the time to understand the specific needs of your business, allowing us to tailor a coverage plan that's just right for you. Contact us today at 260-486-7488 or visit us online at hupe-insurance.com. Your business deserves more than just insurance. It deserves peace of mind.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. Each year, AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects, ranging from Americanism in our schools to supporting the Special Olympics and Boy Scouts of America. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
We tend not to think about right now. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. When you give to the V Foundation, 100% of your donation goes directly to game-changing cancer research. Victory over cancer is there for the taking. By you. Donate at V.org, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I lack a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Now back to Talkin' Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Talkin' Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One. Along with DC Hendricks, I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks for tuning in as we're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. And then it's Fighting Irish Preview with the Judge Phil Houck and America's foremost authority on Notre Dame Fighting Irish football, Tim Priester, as the Irish get ready to play at USC tonight at 7 o'clock. One of two state-type games going on. The old Oaken Bucket game in Bloomington tonight as the Purdue Boilermakers invade Bloomington. I don't know if you invade a location when you're 29-point underdogs, is it? But, yeah, so anyway. But let's go to the Talkin' Sports phone line, powered by Fire Police, City, County, Federal Credit Union, because waiting there patiently is one Mr. Mike McCaffrey. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. How are you, buddy?
I am great this morning, and I was able to listen to the game last week, and unfortunately the Cougars met defeat and ended their season, but what a resurgence for this football program to do what they did this season after getting beat soundly by Indiana Wesleyan in week 1, coming back and in making just quite a successful season out of this. And there are some honors as well that were bestowed upon the Cougars at the end of the season.
Yeah, going back to last Saturday, obviously not the result we wanted, but you go into a game and you're feeling pretty good. And as you said, definitely not the same team that took the field week 1 against Indiana Wesleyan. This was a much more focused, much different team here at the end of the year in the playoffs. And, you're on your third offensive play and you lose your starting quarterback to what turned out to be a torn ACL. And automatically your backup quarterback is thrust into the game 4 plays into the game. And I think that kind of shook us a little bit. And we were down 14-0 before we really knew about it. And then all of a sudden the defense clamped down and really shut them out for the entire second half until there was 15 seconds left. And got some turnovers. Grant Gremmel played phenomenal to be put in that position and have to come in off the bench and lead a team. He did a fantastic job. And again, our defense gave them opportunities. We ended up closing the gap, tying it with 1:30 to go at 24. And then, the home team got some momentum after a couple quick passes and then launched one into the end zone with 15 seconds left and just a tremendous throw. Great catch. We had 2 guys on them. Just couldn't make the stop that we needed to. And I was really looking forward to going to overtime because I felt like we were playing so good that our defense was going to step up and get a stop. And then my vision was Austin De Leon kicking a game-winning field goal down in Winfield, Kansas, but we never got that opportunity because they punched one in with 15 seconds left. So, yeah, tough finish for the guys and for our seniors. But, again, the growth and the grit and the resilience that these guys showed all year was nothing short of phenomenal. I'm real proud of them. Phenomenal trip. Guys were focused. They were locked in. We just, again, they got a little shook when you lose your quarterback that early in the game, and all of a sudden everybody starts looking around. But Grant Gremmel answered the call and gave us a shot. Then this week, we got honored with Coach Deegan another of the year for the MSFA Midwest, and then Marquise Cross got the Defensive Player of the Year. Thought Josh Kolka might have a shot at offense, but the do-everything quarterback from St. Francis, Illinois, Sam Tumulty, ended up getting the Offensive Player of the Year, and we saw what he can do. And he's a special kid, so no harm in losing it to him. But Josh is going to have a rehab now and get ready and try to come back next year and get this thing done all over again. But yeah, to consider where we started and where we finished, it was a very successful season on many fronts.
Indeed. And now, Mike, tell me, as a graduate student, let's say Josh Kolka, what is the future status of a player like that that's considered a graduate student?
Yeah, so he's got another year to play, so it's a matter of, the NAI, you get basically 10 semesters to play 4 years. So He has not been in school yet for 10 semesters. He also was at Wayne State during COVID, so he's got 2 semesters that he attended in fall of 20 and spring of 21 that technically don't count against you because of the rules that they established during COVID, and we've had other guys that have had that. But Josh has 1 more year left to play. He's only played 3 seasons, so I know he's excited to get after this rehab, get the surgery done, and see if he can be back by, next August so we can take his spot and get after it. And if not, we know we've got capable backups. Garrett Yoon will be back again next year, so he'll be back for a year if we need him. But, yeah, he's essentially you get your 10 semesters, and as long as you're not enrolled full-time for 10 semesters, and you can kind of keep stretching that out and get your 4 years in.
Very good. Very good. We're talking this morning with Mike McCaffrey, athletic director at the University of St. Francis, in our weekly Cougar chat. And so let's segue over to college basketball, men's and women's basketball. So what's an update on both of those teams?
Yeah, so got good wins last Saturday against Goshen, last Wednesday against Taylor. So started out 2-0 in the conference, which is always great in the Crossroads League. Women are off this weekend, and the men went down to Kingsport, Tennessee, to play in what's called the Show. There's about 24 teams, I think, that from the NAIA that converge on Kingsport, Tennessee, and they play a 3-game tournament. So we'll play today at 3:30, and I believe tomorrow at 2:30. 2 really good teams. We got to play Pikeville today, and then Georgetown, who just came out and was ranked number 3 in the latest ratings tomorrow. So good non-conference schedule, as Coach Lacrosse likes to do, and we'll have a chance to see how good we are, and then come back Wednesday against Huntington at home, and then finish the first half of the Crossroads League schedule before the break. We'll finish up at Bethel next Saturday, so we'll have 4 Crossroads League games in before we get to the Christmas break.
Very nice. Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
All right, that was Mike McCaffrey, athletic director at the University of St. Francis, in our weekly Cougar chat. And text came in on the text line at 260-447-8500 after we talked to Steve Warden about his book and the entry about Fred Tone. It says, I played for Coach Tone before game 1 of sectionals. Hundreds of Green Army men on a table, and he comes in and knocks half of them off the table onto the floor. I don't remember what he said, but the point was made. And Fred Tone always had some kind of motivational opportunity for young people and young men to get behind. And I can remember him always. He used to have his legs taped to the folding chair when he was a wrestling coach, because he would jump off the chair. Sometimes the folding chair would fold up behind him, and he'd end up on the mat, and he would either get penalized or warnings or something like that. So they used to have the assistant coaches tie his legs to the chair so that he wouldn't end up on the mat. That was the kind of guy. But a better man. When he was principal, he vowed freshman year, each freshman class that came in, he would vow to know everyone's first and last name in that class by the end of September. And if he didn't, he would do a push-up for every name that he didn't know. And he never had to do push-ups, even though he probably did in his office. But that was the kind of guy he was. Thank you so much for that text. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with Shane Albahrani when we return. You're listening to Talkin Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Was a little before Christmas, so the story is told. The tree looked fantastic, but the decorations look old. No need to get worried or even show fear, because you can rely on City Glass Specialty for this special time of year. From religious decorations to ornaments and wreaths, to magnificent nativity scenes that you simply can't beat. When it comes to Christmas and holiday decorations, City Glass Specialty carries it all. Come visit our showroom or just give us a call. Our selection is huge. In fact, out of sight. A Merry Christmas to all. And to all, a good night.
This holiday season, for the best selection of Christmas ornaments, religious ornaments, wreaths, and nativities, visit City Glass Specialty at 2124 South Calhoun Street in Fort Wayne, or call 260-744-3301.
It's been the official Eras Tour book coming to Target on November 29th, featuring over 500 photographs from the tour, including never-before-seen performance and behind-the-scenes images. And for the first time, the Tortured Poets Department, the Anthology, with 35 tracks on CD and vinyl.
Only at Target. Oh no, my phone.
Hear that? It's the sound of a skater dropping her phone and smashing it on the ice. Yep, it's definitely broken. But at Verizon, we got you. This Black Friday, trade in any phone, any condition from one of our top brands and get a new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus on Unlimited Ultimate and Watch 7 and Tab S9 FE 5G. That's up to $1,900 in value. So you'll save big on 3 great gifts. Hurry into Verizon this Black Friday. Service plan required for Watch and Tab. Up to $1,900 value based on phone, watch, and tablet. Trade in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Now back to Talkin' Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Talkin' Sports, powered by McMahon's Best One. Along with DC Hendricks, I'm Jim Shovlin. Thanks for tuning in. We're talking local sports of all sorts until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Text line is open at 260-447-8500 for your question, comment, opinion. Were you at the hockey game Thursday night or Friday night against the Florida Everblades? Because on the Talkin' Sports phone line, powered by Fire Police City County Federal Credit Union, is the radio play-by-play voice of the Fort Wayne Komets, Mr. Shane Albahrani. Shane, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy.
I'll tell you what, I was there both Thursday and Friday night, and Mr. Turcotte got things started with Mr. Neuber right off the bat on Turkey Day. Right off the face-off, when you knew that both of them were in the starting lineup, you pretty much knew something was going to fall quickly. And a couple of the tough guys of the ECHL went at it, and that kind of set the tone. The Komets score a couple of late goals in the first period, but relinquished that 4-2 lead. And although an exciting game, didn't end up with the 2 points for the K's Thursday night. But then last night, Alex Albahrani. I mean, what a guy. He was everywhere. He was all over that ice last night, and he ended up lighting the lamp in overtime.
Yeah, no, it's been a great series so far. You know, we kind of knew that this was going to be a good measuring stick for the Komets going in against the best team in the league and a 3-time defending Kelly Cup champs. And, it's Komets-build right now. You know, the Komets really should have won both games, but unfortunately, on Thursday night, the Komets had a 2-goal lead in the first period and then a 2-goal lead in the third, and unable to lock it down and lost in overtime. But that was very much a learning experience, because Florida is a team that, they've won 3 cups for a reason, because they know how to win. So the Komets pretty much took those lessons, took them into last night, and played a very sound defensive game. It went 1-1 into overtime, and Alex Albahrani ended it. And Komets right now looking at 3 points over the last 2 games against the best team in the league, so not bad.
Yes, indeed. And, it was just one of those things. Even last night, Connor Unger, between the pipes, coming into that game, you look at his stats, and they're not all that impressive. But he's NHL property, and had a heck of a game last night. His defense was helping him clear the puck and everything, but when he had to come up big, he did. And obviously holding Florida to just a goal in that game, and they had the first goal of the game. So it was just one of those things, and then Brochu on Thursday night. started out well, and then there were a couple of breakdowns. And, some of those goals you just weren't going to – nobody would have stopped. But, there were so many individuals. I thought Corcoran's played well both nights. And Petruzzelli last night got the first goal of the game, too. And, he was all over the place and kind of agitating as well.
Yeah, the Komets actually lost their top faceoff guy, Odin Tufto, early on in the first period to an injury last night. So, we were playing a man short already, and then we actually got down to 10 forwards when Tufto went down. So the Komets played that whole game without probably the best faceoff man in the league, and everyone stepped up and played a very sound defensive game. Nick Deaconpoot took the majority of the faceoffs after that. I thought he played really well, but going back to Connor Unger, who has struggled. He's an NHL prospect. He's adjusting to his first year pro, so he's very much had peaks and valleys already. Just a month and a half into the season, he had a poor game against Kalamazoo where he gave up 6 goals, ended up getting pulled. But then the next weekend we were in Kansas City playing one of the best teams in the league, and he won that game in a shootout. And it's just been kind of up and down for Connor Unger. He showed last night that he's got the skills, and a lot of the stuff I think with Connor right now is just up in his head because it's a confidence issue, and I think last night he very much got it back. And I know Brett Brochu will probably be in the starting goal tonight, and knowing the competitor Brett Brochu is, he is going to remember that feeling Thursday night. Mm-hmm. He's not going to want to repeat that tonight.
Yes, indeed. And let's talk tonight quickly. Rubber match of this 3-game series in Fort Wayne, and what do you expect?
I'm interested to see how this plays out because a few people have been asking me, like, what do you think for tonight already? And I'm like, I saw how physical it was Thursday night. Mm-hmm. It wasn't quite as physical as it was last night. But, these two teams obviously are going to be two of the best teams in the league. There's, of course, Kansas City's going to be there. Toledo's going to be there. But, I think Florida coming in here and saying, hey, these guys can actually play. We may see them down the road. We're not going to see them again. This is obviously it for the regular season. So I don't know which team sends the message here, if it's going to be a physical game or a team just want to, hey, let's just get 2 points and get out of town kind of a thing. But I think it's going to be a real fun game. So if you haven't been out to the Coliseum, either of these first 2 games of this series, I suggest going out tonight.
No doubt about it. Well, Shane, we are out of time. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
Thanks a lot, Chubby.
All right, that was Shane Albahrani, play-by-play voice of your Fort Wayne Komets. That's going to do it for Talkin Sports. Many thanks to Mr. Justin Kenny from OPS and OutsideTheHuddle.net for filling us in and giving us his high school football expertise. Thanks to Mike McCaffrey, the University of St. Francis, for a weekly update. Thanks to Shane Albahrani for the Komet update. And special thanks to Mr. C. Warden. Buy his book. Seriously, buy his book. Have it under your tree. Tell your significant other, your kids, buy this book for Christmas. It's great. You will not put it down. I guarantee it. Special thanks also to D.C. Hendricks for keeping it all smooth and doing behind the scenes what nobody understands. But he does it and keeps us on the air, keeps us all smooth. Thanks to you, the listener. Until next week, have a great week, everybody.
Podcasts by Federated Media.